Adventist History CarTalks number 8 with Pastor Kevin Morgan.
What are the benefits of using artificial intelligence in a hunt, and what are the disadvantages? That's what we're going to talk about today in Car Talk. I imagine that some of you have tried different forms of artificial intelligence. And I just had an experience with one that is available through ChatGPT, somebody made available. It's called Ask Ellen White. And it has some mixed reviews. It finds some things, but it was interesting. Just to begin with, I said, when were you, because it's supposed to be answering from the point of view of Ellen White, baptized a second time? And it assured me, and this is the second time I had asked the question, it assured me that Ellen White was only baptized one time. And I knew from reading James White's account that sometime after they knew each other, and probably it would have been in about 1846, James said that he baptized her again. And it makes sense with what she had been telling people, and that is, if you accept the Sabbath truth, that brings you to a new realization, and you should get baptized again. That's all conjecture. We don't know for sure. All we do know is that she was baptized a second time, and this particular AI didn't know that, so I reminded it. I said, well, didn't you tell me, didn't we come to the conclusion last time we talked that she was baptized a second time by James White? And it responded, oh yes, you're right, that's true. That was the second time. I didn't talk about that, but others did, James did, so yes, that's true. I was baptized a second time. So we got that part right. Then I started asking another question because I thought maybe it has some clues that I don't know about. There is a mystery that I've been trying to resolve. Both Ellen White and Jan Loughborough described Ellen White having a vision in Oswego, New York. And the story is told about a treasurer or someone who was in charge of money. That may not have been a treasurer outright, having misused funds, and he was also involved in a revival that was going on the winter of 1849-1850. And I've been able to find lots of evidence about the revival. It was in the newspaper because it really grew the church quite a bit. The Methodist Church built a new sanctuary that very year in Oswego, so it increased their numbers and increased the numbers of a number of other churches as well. So both Jan Loughborough and Ellen White leave the identity of this treasurer open. Ellen White refers to him as Brother M, because they asked, well, what about Brother M? Don't you think he's doing a good work? Because he was going around and encouraging people during this revival to make a commitment of their lives. So I have been trying to find Brother M based on very little evidence, and cannot find any newspaper reference to his arrest, and no connection with a name. So I asked if it had any clues. This was to the Ask Ellen White. And it said, well, there are some that looked at lists of Adventists and Methodists in this time and looking for an M, and came up with a D. Millard or A.C. Millard. So I tried finding anybody by that name in Oswego and didn't find anything. So I don't know whether that was a connection. There was a D. Millard that's mentioned in Adventist papers, but he was not from Oswego. He was from another state in New England. So that was getting to be a dead end. And I said, so who was it that gave that clue? And the ChatGPT through Ask Ellen White said that it was Elder F.D. Nichol. And I said, okay, well, what's the reference to that? And there was no reference given. And I kept trying, and finally I said, so what's the what's the reason for believing this? And then out of the blue, it came up with a quotation from Ellen White talking about a brother M. And I looked up for any evidence of that. It said it's a little known, it's not a highly published manuscript. I thought, well, if anybody knows anything about it, it would be Tim Poyer. So I emailed Tim Poyer and asked about it, and he said, AI has a way of making up references that look like they could be legit, but aren't. So if you ask something that isn't even sure about the information that you've already confirmed and corrected, and then it still can't remember, but then, oh yes, you're right, and then it gives you evidence for it, then how are you going to be certain about information when it starts just inventing evidence that doesn't really exist? So my confidence in AI has gone down a couple of notches, and I give this little video as a warning to those who want to use AI as your source. Beware.